Hello, 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 Pinkhouse audience. I'm coming to you with a very special treat and guest. I'm going to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, and that's Colita Dempsey. And Colita and I have been friends for a very long time. And I've been wanting to bring her on so that we could talk to her and have this pink conversation segment about a disease process that maybe some of you know about, but maybe many of you don't. We're going to get Colita to give us a little education on what life is like living with fibromyalgia. So, Colita, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what your life has been like living with this disease process.
Well, hello to Lynie first. I'm really impressed with your pink house. I'm glad that you're really having a successful pink house career. Hello, everyone. My name is Colita. As Lynie said, we have known each other for a very long time. I suffer with fibromyalgia. It is a what they call an invisible disease because unless someone tells you that that's what they have, people look at you really strangely when you pull up into a handicapped parking space or when you're trying to get somebody to get up to give you a seat because you can barely stand. Because on the outside, you just see a normal looking person, but on the inside, your body is full sometimes of very bad pain
Mm.
in your joints, in your muscles, and sometimes it really attacks the rib section.
Oh, wow.
And imagine that when you're driving, the only thing I can do is pull over and recline my chair all the way back and raise my arms up above my head.
In order to
And
get some
then
relief?
in order to get some relief.
Wow.
So fibromyalgia is it can be very debilitating. And one thing that is really hard for people to understand is planning. And Lenny can attest to that because I have had to counsel on her many times. Sometimes you just wake up and you feel so exhausted that there's nothing really you can do but stay in the bed. And then there's sometimes where there's so much pain that you have to take medication that will make you feel so tired.
Wow.
So it's really hard to plan because you don't know when it's going to happen, when a flare up will take place.
How
You
long have you
feel
been how long have you been living with this disease process, Khalid? How long have you had fibromyalgia?
since 2013.
So you've been dealing with this for a while. Now, is
Yes.
it something that when you got it, did it come on all of a sudden, or were you gradually having symptoms and just didn't understand what was going on?
So it was gradual.
Mhm.
And no, I certainly didn't understand what was going on. And at that time, the doctors really didn't understand what was going on because all the tests they took were coming back normal.
Wow.
So some doctors weren't even on board with the fibromyalgia yet. In fact, they were quick to send you to a psychiatrist thinking that this was something in your head going
Really?
on.
Wow.
Yes. It
How were
wasn't
you able to cope with that when you met that early on before they were able to really determine what was going on? How were you able to? How did you handle them dealing with it in that fashion?
I didn't
Okay.
because that is the reason why depression will start to come in
Okay.
because you know that there is something wrong with you.
Right.
And even though the test might not show it, your body feels it.
Okay.
And so when somebody is telling you that, well, all the tests are coming back normal, but your body hurts so bad, sometimes I would get spasms where my fingers would curl backwards or
Wow.
my toes even curl backwards. Some people may deal with Charlie horse cramps in their legs, but imagine having that Charlie horse cramping sensation all through your body
Mm.
and you can't control it, or in your joints, and there's nothing you can do to rub the pain out. So
Mm.
that's what I was dealing with. And because initially I wasn't getting the help I needed, it was very depressing, and so I stayed in bed a lot.
Wow. So, and having lived with this now, or let's go to when you finally got the diagnosis, how long did you deal with these symptoms that they weren't able to identify from the start of them to when you finally got a diagnosis that you actually had fibromyalgia? How much time did it take before you got a final diagnosis?
I would have to say, almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a long
almost a
time.
year.
Yeah, that's a
Yes,
long time.
because I was driving the school bus, and it would get so bad with the cramping that I would call out sick because I don't want to drive these kids and then have an accident
Right.
because my fingers start cramping up
Cramping
really
up.
bad, or the pain comes in my ribs. And so that caused me to really lose my job because
Wow.
because the doctors kept coming back with, we don't see anything, and Baltimore County is saying, well, the doctors are saying they don't see anything, so we just think you want to use up sick leave time.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
that was very depressing,
Right.
to the point where, yes, I did lose my job, and it took a while, 3 years, for me to receive help from Social Security
Okay.
disability. So imagine trying to cope with a new disease that a lot of doctors weren't on board with. Your body is feeling bad, you're exhausted, you're depressed, you don't have no support really. Everybody's getting mad at you for saying you're going to do something and then you don't do it.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot to deal with, and there was nothing that I could do. What can
Right.
you do? You know?
So once you finally got the final diagnosis that this is what it is, were they able to design a treatment plan for you that has helped you to cope better with it now? Or are you still like, or is it still a trial and error thing of what works to help you feel your best?
Well, a couple of years after 2013, the World Health Organization finally
Mhm.
came up with uh, a diagnostic code.
Okay.
Once they
Because that's
came
when
up
they
with the
recognize it, when it's in that book. Yes.
Yes, once they came up with the diagnostic code, then more doctors became on board,
Okay.
and then you could get more help.
Okay.
Because if a person is feeling bad like that, your general or practitioner is not going to be the one you need to see.
Right.
You need to really see a rheumatologist.
Right. Okay.
And even though the steps that they go through to say, yes, you have fibromyalgia, or no, you don't have it, is basically feeling you and the pressure points throughout your body. If you get 12 out of the 18, then they say, yes, you
Okay.
have fibromyalgia.
Okay.
And so then they'll put you on so much medication that it is impossible for you to do anything because you are sleeping most of the time. From
Wow.
gabapentin, which is a nerve pain medicine, to oxycodone for your pain, to Flexeril
Mm.
for your muscles to relax.
Right.
All of those medications make you very tired.
Right.
In fact, if I took the medicine according to how I was supposed to take it, I would always be in the bed. I would be a walking zombie.
Wow.
So, to answer your question, yes, over time, I had to learn to do what was best for me.
Okay. How it works better
So,
for you. Okay.
what makes, yeah, so I take my medicines, they're medicines that I take, I make sure I take them every day. There are also medicines that I take that I only take if I have a very bad flare.
Okay.
If that flare come on, I have to hit the big boys. I don't care if it makes me sleep 2 days
Okay.
because the pain is just so overwhelming.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. So since that's the routine and how you're living with it, have you begun to, and if so, tell me what, but if not, are you going to think about this? Have you begun to do any type of thing that can sort of like pour back into yourself to so that you can have like some type of outlet where you can release, because with these disease processes you get negative emotions like you said, depression and all of those type of things. So have you begun to work out what you can do to help you, since this is something that obviously has no cure in this system,
Right.
help you to cope with it so that you can build you up a little bit so that it's not as heavy on you anymore. Now that you know what it is, now that you've worked out your treatment process, what can you do to pour back into you to help, you know, you stay up as much as you can?
Hmm. Well, oftentimes I will go ahead on and accept the invitation.
Mhm.
And if I can, sometimes I don't feel like it, but I'll force myself to get up and to do things.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel really good after I force myself, and then sometimes I'm like,
You
I just
shouldn't
should
have
have
did that.
stayed in the bed.
Okay.
So it's still, it just really all depends on your body for that particular time, you know. And then I don't know if it goes from one thing to another, but all of a sudden I have the right hip and right knee problem,
Okay.
and I that is definitely to me separate from the fibromyalgia, but resulting from the fibromyalgia,
Right.
if you know what
Right.
I mean.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, weight is another thing because, the doctors really want you to exercise as much as you can, and they claim that that will really alleviate or relieve some of the pain. But how in the world do you get up and move like they want you to move when your joints hurt so bad?
I
You
can
know.
relate to that because it's the same way, I have severe osteoarthritis in my knees. And
Mhm.
that is one of, everything you read, everything your providers tell you is that exercise is so good and beneficial for you. But like you're saying, when you're in the throes of that pain and stuff with it's I laugh because that's the best way I can deal with it. Sometimes I'm so bent over trying to get up just to stand up. How
Yes.
do and I hear and I get that they said, that, but it's one of those things that it's if people aren't in the throes of it and feel the pain that you're living with, they really don't know because you
Right.
can't see pain.
Right.
Pain is something you can't see. And so when you have
Absolutely.
a condition where you're dealing with chronic pain day in and day out, a lot of times, and I'm sure you may be like that, a lot of times you might not even communicate it that much to
Yes.
people because they don't see it. Oh, they
Right.
can see if somebody, is in a brace or that, they see that. So they're more
Mhm.
sympathetic to it. And so I feel it because I understand with the knees, but I just can only imagine for the way my knees can get me to have that going through your whole body,
Mhm.
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
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 So one of the things that I have tried to start doing to try to help me is to do chair exercises because I know I can't really, do a lot of high impact stuff or whatever. But one of the things my sister suggested and one of my providers is that it's a lot of, channels and stuff that you can look at where they do low impact chair exercises, but it will still get that movement. And so that's
Mhm.
what I'm trying to do now to help me get some movement in because like you said, when you're in the throes of that pain vortex, that's what I call it. That's all you can deal with and concentrate on, and
Yes.
so it's really a catch-22. But so how do you now handle, or have you gotten better at handling the people that you have to deal with that can't see, so their response to you is a little off-putting or a little slightly negative because they really can't see what your issue is that you deal. How do you deal with those individuals?
I don't.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah, because if you do, then that's just more stress on you, and
Okay.
stress will bring
Yeah.
on the symptoms.
Right.
So what I had to really come to appreciate is that if you love me, you have to love me for me and dealing what I'm dealing with now. You
Right.
know, I mean, we're not getting no younger. We're further away from perfection,
Yeah.
and so even though you might be not you, Lynette, but a person might be aging and not have these type situations yet. I'm already there.
Right.
And so I've tried to explain. I've sent the pictures out from the Fibromyalgia Facebook group. It's a picture that, oh my goodness, it is just so good in explaining what it's like, because it shows a person and it shows their back full of bruises all over their arms. You can't see that through my clothes, but yet
Right.
that's how it feels.
Right.
So to me, that picture is very impactful. I have sent that picture to a lot of my
Oh,
friends.
I would love you to send me that picture because when this is gonna air, I would love to use it as a thumbnail to go with this segment so people can put the two together when
Oh,
they view this
absolutely.
segment. So send that to me because this will air on Friday. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
edit it on Wednesday. So if you send me
Okay.
that, it'll be a great thing to add with this piece. Yeah.
Yes. And some could accept it. Some stop calling and inviting me out. Oh well. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I can't force them like they can't force me. So
Right.
I really became content with staying at home and with just trying to take care of me, some self-love. And COVID um really made that a very easy transitioning.
Okay. So now, when you stay at home, being at home or whatever, do you do things like, do you journal? Do you color? Do you do any of those type things? Do you have any hobbies or anything that you use as an outlet to in coping with your disease process?
Well, I like to color on an app,
Okay.
because I have the iPro tablet and I have the pen. So
Oh, okay.
I like to color. I was trying to teach myself to draw better. Um the attention span, and there's a thing called fibro fog.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I can't remember, sometimes I can't concentrate. The ministry has helped me a lot, trying to help people to learn about Jehovah and about the Bible.
Okay.
Because I spend a lot of time doing that.
Okay.
And then when I'm finished with that, I mean, most of the time I was just tired and just ready to just lay in the bed, because to do anything else takes thought. If you just turn on the television, that doesn't take no type of thought process. You just have the TV on, and if you see something you like, fine. If not, you might fall asleep.
Right.
But that's been a situation. And then my daughter, she's 21 to be 22 in a couple of months. But
What?
she,
They are that
yeah,
old. Oh my girl. That is dating up. Oh my 21.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Girl, it's so funny. I still think of them as teenagers that the age never sort of changes. Oh, 21. Oh, boy.
yeah. She'll be 22 in a couple of months, and she was affected terribly bad by the COVID. She has high anxiety, and in fact, she doesn't leave the house.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
yes, she's really suffered. And over the 2.5 years, 3 years with COVID, then because of her anxiety level being so high, then she gained. And um, just the thought process of what people would say about her because
Oh,
she gained is really, really affecting her emotionally. So because of that, I understand it. I
right.
really understand it. And I had to then think of a way where I could make some income to help with the bills and everything, while but at the same time not
Jeopardize. Yeah.
jeopardize my disability.
Right.
And so that's where Uber comes in, because you
Okay.
can do that, you know.
Right.
But so now I'm not in the bed as much, but it is some days when I'm in this car and I don't know how I'm doing it, and I have to say prayer. I just
Okay.
don't understand how I'm doing it, because I'm hurting. I'm so tired.
Right.
And but I know that I have to do this for me and my daughter. And
Right.
so that's when motherhood kicks in and kind of takes over everything
Overrides
else.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question with fibromyalgia, because I know with having had breast cancer, like you mentioned, the Facebook group, there's a ton of Facebook groups. I'm on several for the breast cancer. And then it's a lot of different resources, because I just got hooked up with this thing called Unite for Her. And so, like, in this program, they give you like this passport that has like these little squares, and like I could use a square to start getting like fresh vegetables and stuff delivered beginning in October. Do they
Oh
have
wow.
programs, different programs like that for fibromyalgia? Have you looked to see where maybe it would be certain resources that they would provide for you or what have you?
I have not.
That might be a good
That's
thing
good
to
to
do,
know.
because with a lot of these disease processes, I do know you don't know until you start really trying to find them. It's not, because like this program, I just happened to take a workshop, a virtual workshop at Hopkins, and that's how I found out about this program. So a lot of the resources we don't know about it unless we stumble across it. So that
Mhm.
might be something too, where it may be a lot of resources. And I'm good at researching things, whatever. I will look to see what I can find and maybe pass your way that you could find for the disease process, and what maybe they have out there as far as continuing to live with and manage it. Um,
Yes, I appreciate that.
yeah, because it's people just don't realize how debilitating and limiting uh, having a disease process can be. And it's like you said, you don't just have the effects of the disease, it's then if it's one that brings on depression and all these other things and issues that then impact your life. And so,
Mhm.
oh, definitely, I'll be more than happy to do it. It's a question I usually ask everyone I speak with. And even with this disease process, although it's not breast cancer, it's still a point where you are now a survivor living with it. So, my
Mhm.
question to you is, what does survivorship mean to you?
Um just the ability to go on and not give in to your disease,
Okay.
is um to me makes me a strong person. Makes anybody that can um fight it a stronger person,
Mhm.
because it's easy to give in.
Yeah.
You're in pain, you're depressed, you're exhausted, you have brain fog. It's very easy to give in. And so, for a person that wants to continue to try to go out when they can, to try to engage in activities, um, to even try to work to a certain degree, that makes a person strong. You
Mhm.
build from your own strength,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And of course, with myself, um, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I really, really give a lot of prayer to Jehovah, and I really, really am convinced that His Holy Spirit also helps me uh, from day to day to be able to do the things that I do,
That you
just
have
to
to do.
just to provide. Hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because sometimes that's all we have is our faith.
Hmm.
To help give us the strength, like you said, to go the next step to, and sometimes depending on, especially with a disease process like that, basically sometimes that's what you're asking for, to get to the very next step, because
Mm-hmm.
it's so painful, and what have you. And I want to really thank you for opening up and sharing this, because one thing I've come to appreciate is that you're not alone, even if you feel like it. And for
Mm-hmm.
some people, and this is what has motivated me, and I share this with everyone too. I analyzed records for my secular career, and in analyzing a record, um, the doctor made a prescription for this patient because the patient had COVID and was dealing with long-term COVID. So they have had very little interaction with other humans because of the
Mm-hmm.
isolation from having COVID for so long and the different health circumstances. And part of the prescription the doctor gave the patient was yoga. So, like doing TV yoga, something yoga,
Mm-hmm.
and YouTube. And when he went on in the description, it helped me to appreciate, for some people, Colita, this might be the only human interaction they have, somebody that they
Yes.
see on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So what you just shared, um, you know, in your story, you don't know how many people that may touch and resonate with, that will help them to say, oh my goodness, if she's dealing with all of this, whatever my pain situation is, whatever I'm dealing with, I can push myself a little further, hearing this woman's story and what she's been able to accomplish and do through those difficulties. And so I believe it in my heart. You just never know who's going to hear that story, and it'll give them that extra boost of strength that they need to continue on to that next step. And so
Yeah.
for me, I am so moved. I can't even express to you how moved and touched I am by your story, because even as friends, I knew you had fibromyalgia, but I did not know the inside of living with fibromyalgia. I did not
Mm-hmm.
know what your day to day has been like, what some of the consequences of having it has been like. And
Yes.
so it was eye opening for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing. Sometimes we think we know, but we don't, until we
Mm-hmm.
hear, from an individual what their struggle is, how they're getting by, how they're coping. And so, for all of my viewers that may see this, I'm saying thank you ahead of time to you for sharing your story, because it really has made a difference, because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I feel myself getting emotional, so I'm trying not to. But especially to the impact on Jaja, I would
Yeah.
really like to and try to reach out to her, because maybe she'll do some virtual stuff with me,
Yeah.
with clients and stuff, with makeup or whatever. Because maybe she'll be up to doing that, because that way she's still home, but it's virtual. So I'll talk
Right.
to her about that. But I really, really appreciate that, and your willingness to share that, because it has helped me, and I'm convinced, I know it will help somebody else. And so
Yes.
I want to thank you. Is there any last words you want to say to the audience? Anything else you want to say?
I want to thank you for having me. I'm sorry it took so long for me to
That's
get
okay.
get together, but I also hope that someone will hear it, and someone will say. I mean, even if it's just about them doing what you said, going on YouTube, for interaction, because some people don't have anybody,
Nope.
and when you think about it, depression by itself is a reason some people will just isolate.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have depression, when you have a debilitating, um, invisible disease,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't understand it, they just see you. They don't see a wheelchair or oxygen or anything like that. And then they tend to be negative. They tend to be condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Don't don't give in to their negativity.
Right.
You are somebody. Your pain is real.
Mm-hmm.
You are loved.
Mm-hmm.
You are important. So develop self-love
Mm-hmm.
and take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the That's what I'd like to leave everyone with.
Yeah, and that's mind, heart, and body. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you really, really do have to protect your mind and your heart when you're dealing with something like that, especially when people don't understand it. Because, like you said, disease processes feed on negativity, they feed on stress, they feed on those things. And so you want to be able to check those attitudes and leave them so that you can now use positivity and creativity to try to help you cope and live with your disease process, because you want to do, like you said, the best you can for you in managing it and getting rid of the negative thinking. And you're right. It's a phrase I use with a young guy that I tend to mentor sometimes. We call it stinking thinking. You know, and so when that stinking thinking here and other, you're right, shut it out. You know, yeah, that's one of the most powerful things you can do in expressing self-love to yourself, is to tune that negative talk out. You know, and in whatever fashion it is that you do for you, you know. And so and I've seen the digital coloring, whatever, I've done that, but I use more like the books and stuff, because a lot of times, sometimes I'll mail them out to people, a set of coloring pencils, and but I've even tried my hand at it, but yeah, and so, and they are beautiful. I mean, the pictures come out so pretty and everything, but whatever the medium is, whatever it is, it's an expression of self-love to you. And if it's, I tell people all the time, I said I would be batty if I didn't always have a project going on. You know me forever. I always got some kind of project going on, you know. And that's what helps me cope, you know. And so this is a project of love. And so, like I told you, I thank you so much from the heart for meeting me here and having this pink conversation. I love you, babe, and we will
love you too.
Thank you, honey.
All right.
Be safe on the road.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.